A very good morning to everyone. I hope you're enjoying the pleasant weather of Ahmedabad. It's the best time of the year to be in Ahmedabad. On behalf of Faculty of Design, I welcome you all to the 17th Convocation at the Faculty of Design, CEPT University, Ahmedabad. It is indeed an honor to be standing here in front of all of you and welcoming our honorable chief guest, Mr. Abhay Sardesai, Editor Art India, the respected Dean, Salim Batri, program chairs, members of the faculty, administrative staff, graduating students, and the family members. Today is a big day. All the years that you've spent with us at the Faculty of Design as students officially come to a glorious end. You no longer remain our students, but in fact become our extended family. This is a moment of change, a transition in journey of your life. A new life awaits, which wouldn't have existed without taking this transition or a leap of faith into the unknown. It is human nature to fear change, believing change is the worst thing that could happen. But it's also because of this constant search for change that life is wonderful and worth living. We like to change our clothes, our stationery, our surroundings, but often forget change cannot happen unless we change ourselves. It's this change that allows people to grow and flourish in all walks of life. I remember teaching many of you, first day of online classes, unsure, scared, worried if you made the right transition, if this was the program you wanted to be in, and here you are, sitting happily, and I'm sure proud that you managed and you have made this transition. Today, let us celebrate the change in you, a change of attitude, a change of passion, a change of perseverance, a change of life, and a change of designation. You are no longer students by designation. You are now colleagues and friends of your teachers, mentors to your juniors, and design professionals for the world. I congratulate each one of you for taking the journey you have traveled with us and the path you are going to embark in the near future. I hope that all that you've learned with us in this alma mater will make you a competent designer and most importantly, a humble human being. Today, as you graduate, I urge you to become a reflective practitioner beyond the design practitioner that you will definitely become. Be a practitioner who at regular interval looks back at the work done and the work process and considers reflection as a tool of how one can improve and excel in one's practice. You might not have any redos on your submissions, but find out where the effort lacks clarity and need more work. You may no longer be a bona fide student of this institution, but let the student in you always remain alive, and you continue to ignite the path of everyone around you with goodness, gratitude, and humility. I once again congratulate each one of you, and most importantly, the parents. It's only because of you, many of us have lived our own dreams and have the confidence of doing things which we never imagined we could. Before I move on with the next part of the program, I'll quickly share a discussion between J. Krishnamurti and a student, and I quote, "Student, sir, you said you must change the world. How you can change it, sir?" And Krishnamurti replies, "What is the world? The world is where you live, our family, your friends, your neighbors. And your family, your friends, your neighbors can be extended, and that is the world. Now you are center of the world. That is the world you live in. Now, how will you change the world? It's only possible if you change yourself." Now, without taking much time, I would like to introduce to you our esteemed chief guest, Abhay Sardesai, who graciously accepted our invitation for today's convocation. Abhay Sardesai has been editor of Art India, South Asia's leading visual arts magazine for the last 20 years. He has edited around 75 volumes of the prestigious magazine, and it is no exaggeration to say that it's the most compelling and comprehensive archive of the evolving history of modern and contemporary Indian art. Abhay has also taught aesthetics at the University of Mumbai, language, literature, and criticism at SNDT University, art history and writing at Tata Institute of Social Sciences, among other pedagogy and museumic spaces. He has also been the chair of humanities at the Kamla Raheja Institute and the director of the Writing Across the City project at Pukar. He's lectured and presented papers at various prestigious universities in the world and has an abiding interest in pedagogy and popular culture. Abhay writes in English and translates from Marathi, Konkani, and Hindi. I welcome you, sir, and we are very thankful to you for accepting our invitation and being with us today. I'm also pleased to introduce our Dean, Salim Batri. This is also his first convocation with us as the Dean, Faculty of Design. And on behalf of everyone, I welcome you to the FD family. Salim Batri brings 18 years of integrated experience across the domains of industrial design, architecture, interior design, art, education, with leadership roles in multiple organizations. We are pleased to have him with us and to take FD to new heights, making it one of the most sought-after design schools in the country. I please request Salim to deliver his address.
Thank you, Rishabh. And yes, I'm the new dean. So all your faces are new to me, but I look forward to being part of this very important occasion. So, to begin the convocation address, as the dean, I'll start. My dear graduating students, family members, perhaps you should also be in front, my inspiring faculty and committed staff, and all our distinguished guests. Let me begin by saying that while I was signing all the multiple transcripts last few days, I somehow felt responsible for you and also connected with each of you. I was pleasantly surprised to see a student who joined in 2006, graduating now after a long break in between. What an incredible journey this student must have had. Wow. Graduating students, being the new dean, I have not been a part of your academic journey, but today I am witness to your efforts, emotions, and elation on this momentous occasion. Graduation may imply the end of your time here at CEPT, but rather than a farewell, I like to extend 3 welcomes to you today. First and foremost, I welcome you as professionals of the creative economy. The creative economy is the sum of all the parts of the creative industries, which include design, architecture, fashion, music, fine arts, performing arts, publishing, film, television, etc. We are all a part of this widespread creative collective, and it is in this context that we have invited Abhay Desai as our chief guest today. He has been the editor of Art India, South Asia's leading visual arts magazine, for the last 20 years. 2021 was declared, you may not know it, the International Year of the Creative Economy for Sustainable Development, where the United Nations General Assembly called for attention to the growing role of the creative economy in general and its role in particular with regard to the Sustainable Development Goals, including the promotion of economic growth, social cohesion, and innovation. In a report published by Deloitte, the creative economy is that part of the economy that tells our stories and states that the creative works we leave behind as a society will likely define how future generations understand us. I would further add, how future generations recognize us for our collective response to the environmental crisis. and I'm happy that the previous chief guest spoke about climate change as well. I trust you have the soul and fortitude to respond to such and many other complex challenges of our time, and that you do so with the highest ethical standards. My second welcome. I welcome you to the age of collaboration. An article in Forbes, 2020, February 6th, Edward Hamilton, Vice President RICO Europe, was published, interestingly, just before COVID-19 had any global impact. It talks about moving from the information age to the collaboration age, about weaving flexibility into work culture, using a variety of cloud-based applications that enable more collaborative, productive, agile working, regardless of location, about rethinking the physical workplace to get the most out of teams, creating spaces to support increased collaboration, about using technology to collaborate across geographies and roles, about collaboration between different generations, about the need to develop a seamless experience that spans all devices and platforms and removing any connectivity or processing hurdles to make it much easier and more enjoyable for people to work together when they want, wherever they are, be it at home, in the office, or on the move. All this stated just before COVID-19 had any impact. Collaboration, borrowing from Dr. Madeline Friend, requires commitment on the part of each individual to a shared goal, demands careful attention to communication skills, and obliges participants to maintain parity throughout their interactions. Collaboration does not occur because of administrative mandate or peer pressure, nor does it occur by proclamation. It must arise out of an understanding of its potential and pitfalls, and as a system-level standard, it can be sustained only through professionals' deliberate use of appropriate knowledge and skills. Most of you will work in teams in various capacities, and your body of work is likely to be an outcome of cumulative efforts. With an integration of specialized skills, I look forward to seeing you engaged in collaborative practices and work environments. Thirdly, I welcome you as alumni of the Faculty of Design, CEPT. As alumni, you are uniquely positioned to represent the ethos and to advance the values and reputation of this incredible institution. We are continuing to evolve based on the demands of and opportunities within the vast envelope of design education. The Faculty of Design shall address various contemporary streams of knowledge for, in, and of practice in an ever-expanding discipline of design for built environments where we live, work, learn, recreate, and travel. We strive towards excellence with a focus on research, innovation, emerging technologies, sustainability, and collaboration. We are calibrating existing programs whilst also framing new ones and building appropriate resources, infrastructure, and networks for the delivery and implementation. We will train future professionals in an expanded set of design domains across both our undergraduate and postgraduate programs, and we will continue to be a leading university for design education in India. Today, I wish for many of you to go on and eventually play leading roles in the profession. Lastly, I must leave something for Abhay as well. And lastly, I will share one experience that is so clearly etched in my memory. As a young student, not unlike you all, I was documenting a fort palace in Rajasthan. One early morning, I was sitting in a jharoka in this fort palace, and suddenly the silence of the moment was transformed by the voice of children. I was up on a hill, up high in the fort palace, a substantial view in front of me, and at a distance, there was this way down the small town below. I could sense or see perhaps a school with children gathered in the playground. They were singing, and they were singing in chorus, and they were singing, Hum Honge Kamyab. The wind carried their tune far away, and the hum of their tender voices was uplifting and magical. I could barely see these children, but in that moment, I became immersed in their hopes. Today, to you all I say, do hold on to your hopes, even the ones with which you began your journey here at CEPT. My congratulations to you all. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. Please do give yourselves a round of applause, and also to both your families and faculty who have played important roles in where you are today. Thank you. I just want to add that we are way before time. I was supposed to have this at 11:50, so
The lunch will still be at 1:30.
okay. On that note, am I supposed to invite? Okay, will you? Okay.
No need to.
Come on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Salim. I would like to now invite our chief guest, Mr. Abhay Sardesai, to deliver the convocation address.
Thank you, Rika. Thank you, Salim. All the respected program chairs, Professor Salim Bhatri, my friend Seema Khanwalkar, parents and students. A very good morning to all of you. It's a real privilege to be here amongst you on this very important occasion when you are transiting from one important point in your life to another, from one important and crucial station to another. It is also around 12 o'clock, that time when the day segues into the noon, and time changes clothes, changes color, changes number. The threshold, this point of alteration, point of alternation, has always exercised an abiding fascination for writers, priests, shamans, all kinds of creative people. The British anthropologist calls it the liminal stage, the time and place when older traditions are questioned, the journey of life is sort of halted, paused, and then it sort of starts off again. Customs are interrogated, new institutional energies are released. It is also the time new values and viewpoints come into existence. The passage from one point to another is marked by, as I'm sure you're in the throes of, anxiety And I'm sure all of you, standing as you are on the cusp of an exciting future, feel both excited and nervous. Not probably in equal measure, but definitely both. This is also the time when you start asking yourself all kinds of difficult questions about the future generally, but also about the present. Where will this path lead, and how will I traverse it? This is a question that rings in your head, and though it rings very loudly now, it will continue, I promise, it will continue to ring throughout your life. You should, in fact, be worried if it doesn't. But most importantly, to be honest, it is a moment of, as Salim put it, of supreme hope. I would go ahead and suggest that it is perhaps the lack of complete and absolute clarity that makes it such a special time. The fact that your heads are covered in clouds of all hues and shades is what makes it really very special. You know, like at dawn or at twilight, you can see shapes, but not always recognize the forms. You can see light, but you can also see shadows melding, blending, mixing with each other. This is also the time to sort of, in the fashion of all the people these days, invoke our Indic past. This is also the time when Lord Narasimha kills the Asura Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad's father in the Vishnu Dashavatar. Narasimha himself, as you know, is half lion, half man. The most important character of the most important poem of the 20th century, The Wasteland, which was published in 1922, written by the greatest poet of the 20th century, T.S. Eliot, has as its hero a character who is again half man and half woman. He's Tiresias. It's a character, again to invoke our Indic past, which is in the exemplar of the Ardhanari Nareshwar, who can cast a glance at a roiling century and share observations about the molting world. This is to begin by underscoring how important this moment is for all of you, how critical this juncture is. Let me quote these lines from Eliot's three quartets, again, probably the most quoted of his poems, which speak to the paradox of moments melting into moments, like Dali's clocks. He says, time present and time past. Time present and time past are both perhaps present in time future, and time future contained in time past. If all time is eternally present, all time is unredeemable. What might have been and what has been point to one end, which is always present. Footfalls echo in the memory down the passage which we did not take, towards the door we never opened into the rose garden. My words echo thus in your mind, but to what purpose? Disturbing the dust on a bowl of rose leaves. I do not know. I do not know there are other echoes which inhabit the garden. Shall we follow? To take a cue from Eliot, what shall we all follow? What will you follow? And what should you follow? Let me offer you some suggestions by way of propositions that may assist you in some measure. They could be provocations we could look at and assess. Provocations that could help us dream and design a more fulfilling life. if, again, to invoke Victor Turner, if liminal is the adjective, translation is the noun. My first keyword for the day, therefore, is translation. I'm taking a chapter from your book. So my first keyword for the day is translation. Translation, like fire, like love, is a process. It implies a change of state, a transformation of status. It is also a little like kindness, to invoke Shakespeare. It blesses both the giver and the receiver. Plato, the classical Athenian philosopher, spoke of how objects themselves, and I shall constantly talk about thought and object and the contract between them, because I assume that all of you are in the business of making objects, dreaming up objects. So Plato, the classical Athenian philosopher, spoke of how objects themselves existed in purer and more perfect circumstances and conditions in the rarefied realm of ideas. It is in the abstract notion of tableness, for example, that gets translated across levels into the actual object that we call the table, he would say. Now, what happens when an artist looks at the object and wants to render it with the talent for description that she possesses? There is a further translation of the object, which was once a thought into a representation. Her painting of the table is thus thrice removed from what Plato calls the realm of the ideal. This act of transcreation for Plato is an act that produces an appearance, an imitation, a fiction. He takes a moral position here and says that the work of art is thus and therefore a work that is embedded and anchored in a lie. My supplementary proposition to you would be this. If we are to consider translation as a larger cultural process that can be understood in terms of loss, of authenticity, of meaning, Robert Frost talks about how poetry is what is lost in translation. Then, what can we look forward to gain in this exercise? That's my supplementary proposition. The first thing, I guess, that you get in the artistic enterprise is the transportation of what I would call the design of a thought into, say, the language of objects and spaces. What then, as artists or writers or designers, we are aware of is not only the shape and form and flourish, but also, mind you, the multiplicity of contexts that ideas carry and change as they mutate. All of you are more than aware that creative expression, especially in your case, is more than just focusing on or arriving at the right balance between, as they used to say in the past, the right balance between functionality and aesthetic ornamentality. It actually involves an inquiry into the histories of the thought and the ways in which the object holds translated lessons about the eye to eye between the past and the present. I spoke of the idea of tableness when we summoned good old Plato to sit with us at the Grand Enquiry. So let me continue flogging this example and see if we can understand these things a little closer. Objects and their designs are both actual and social. The social lives of objects are determined by the critical environments in which they are produced. They carry intimations of the past and talk in different registers, different tongues, different languages of the people who have labored to create these objects, who have imagined them in the first place, who have owned them, who have collected them, carried them, and experienced them across and over a span of time. I'm thinking of maybe the Partition Museum, where you have all these relics that have crossed the border and are now housed in a special space to commemorate those times. Objects are therefore and thus repositories of memories that have been fractured by time. Remember how each of the tables, again to flog this metaphor, you have seen or used, from the table tennis table to the bar stool and from a gate-legged table to a work desk, each captures and holds those moments, those special moments in your life when you've passed through distinct stations, both emotional and intellectual. Think of all the different tables that have framed special moments in our collective history, from, say, Thomas Jefferson's desk with drawers and inkwells that supported the writing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776, to the table of the Inquisition in the museum in Goa, that stands as a far from mute spectator to the notoriously exploitative fatwa that was imposed by the Portuguese and the religious orders on the native population of the state. Here then is an insight that stares us in the face. These tables are templates and maps that offer us a door into our collective pasts. Coded in their design is a universe of feelings, dreams, aspirations, hopes, judgments, threats, terrors. How do we as users, who are also creators, look at these objects? Look at all objects. We understand the weight of references they carry, the demands that this makes on us, this make on us. And we tell ourselves that we need to be equal to the task of imbuing our expressions, art, poems, sets, spaces, events, with both the skill of the craftsperson and the knowledge of the inspired student. The table here as an object is, of course, replaceable. You could undertake the designing of any experience, and you could make it more meaningful by being open to the possibilities, what I have earlier called translatoriness. I therefore really take umbrage when people use the term in cold design. Far from it. It is warm, design is warm, it has layers, and it edits out a play of structure and surface, a configuration of manifestation and embodiment, and it carries residues of the past and future memories, emotions, and sentiments. So when I talk about this keyword, translation, I imagine a drama that occurs across work practices, your work practices, across cultural practices, your cultural practices. And where else would this drama seek and get a stage adequate to its enthusiasms, to its energies, but within and between disciplines like art and literature, architecture and design? One interesting turn that has occurred in pedagogy and in cultural practice over the years is the creation of new genres and micro-disciplines. For instance, you have categories that define artists now according to the media that they explore in their art. For example, someone like Atul Dodia is a painter who pushes at the limits of painting by incorporating sculptural elements and incorporating creative installational strategies. While someone like Shilpa Gupta is both a sculptor and a new media artist. In many of her works, she uses computer-generated programs, sound, and structures to create incisive social commentaries on our changing times. Now, both of them explore with sensitivity popular and political worlds that inflect each other around us in different capacities. Both of them And I'm, again, using them only as sparkling examples, the way I have used the idea and the object like the table. Both of them have singular and distinct ways of approaching the act of creating meaning. Increasingly, one finds that the white cube of the gallery or the museumic space is confronted and challenged not only by works of art, but also by modes of presenting and installing art. What does this entail? It implies the knowledge of a space in all its avatars, its visible lineaments, and its, most importantly, various invisible residues. Increasingly, and this is exactly where you all come in as designers, increasingly one finds that works of art attract different kinds of meanings through acts of being installed in different spaces. So the design of an exhibition has acquired an extraordinary importance, and in fact is part and parcel of the entire project of signification. Let me tell you another thing. It's so difficult to come across good exhibition designers. I'm curating a show, for instance, at the David Sassoon Library in Bombay, one of the oldest libraries in the city, which opens in a couple of months. And we haven't been able to decide and agree upon a good exhibition designer. So there is a huge crying need for good exhibition designers, something to keep in mind. Now let me discuss a couple of examples to elucidate this further. I remember way back in the early 1990s when I was a student, climbing up the stairs of Bombay's Jahangir Art Gallery to enter a hall where M.F. Hussain had put up a new show. It was a crazy experience. It was called Shvetambari, and it consisted of cut and chopped scraps of paper, crumpled reams of newspaper pages strewn all over the large gallery space. You entered the portals of the hall to encounter a scene of some sort of primordial creation. Perhaps the calm war zone, like Mian of the place, foretold Hussein's own exile as a hounded artist later on in his life, or perhaps the experiential work cocked a snook at our insistence on artworks having tried and tested, accepted and approved modes of being. Of course, Hussain was channeling the Dadaist in himself. Dadaism, as you know, was an anti-establishment avant-garde movement in the first 2 decades of the 20th century. But he was also signaling the scope and nature of the transformations that were going to rock all of us in the 1990s. Again, to go back to what Dr. Ahluwalia said in his speech. Let's also look, for example, the second instance. Shilpa Gupta's most appreciated installation, called For in Your Tongue I Cannot Fit, acquires its ominous charge from the sounds oozing out of the suspended microphones, but also from the dim lighting that creates pools of light strategically around and across the exhibit. As you enter the hall where Gupta's For in Your Tongue I Cannot Fit is installed, you see metal stands with pages that have been impaled on the rods. It's almost like as if the books have been stabbed. Each of these pages have poems, have utterances, snatches from poets that have been at the receiving end of governments and powers that be. Each of the poets whose lines are being read on the suspended microphones is a rebel and a heroic victim. As these sounds merge into each other, creating a tapestry of cries and whispers around you, and as you move from one speared page to another, the experience of violent censorship comes alive. In your head, the entire exhibition assumes the form of speared heads of enemies displayed as trophies on a medieval battlefield. Now, if we are to look at both Hussein's Hall of Scraps and Gupta's Hall of Echoes, we realize one important thing, that good art that challenges you, does this by creating shifting equations of heaviness and lightness. Heaviness of theme, but lightness of execution. In these cases, perhaps, but through various equations between them in all the other works of art that you would encounter if you go to galleries. One way in which this is achieved, where overwhelming content with layered historical meaning is presented in a manner that both beguiles and defies the viewer, is by what I would call the design imagination of the artist. Art as total theater, if I may call it that, is increasingly becoming an exceptional way to dare the viewer to immerse herself in a difficult but exciting world of multi-sensorial compositions. This is something that you have to think about, as possible future sort of sources of employment. This is yet another provocation that you have to square up to. Implied in this relationship between heaviness and lightness is the desire to seek deep meaning, but again, to go back to proposition number 1, translate it and offer it to the world at large in a manner that is not always ponderous, not always opaque. It also therefore implies the desire and the necessity to open different lives, different lines of communication between peoples of different hues, many of whom watch and read and write, but all of whom live, breathe, feel, and exist. So curating spaces in a manner that brings their inner and outer selves alive, that allow for installations and paintings, sounds and sights to come together and move apart to create new dynamic landscapes for us to inhabit, is a terribly big challenge for all designers. A challenge that you, as students of arrangements and compositions, facades and interiors, drawings and outlines, drafts and devices, fashion and fabrications, have to rise to. It is a world of exciting possibilities, and good exhibition conceptualizers, as I said, are few and far between. In fact, the curatorial imagination is always a realm of diverse possibilities. How do I reinvent or revisit the relationship between an object, an event, and a space? How do I seek and find points of intersection, points of union, and most importantly, points of interference between all of them? And how do I add to the meaningfulness of the drama between the elements of a place or an exhibitionary complex to invite newer viewers and dare older ones? These are some of the questions that a curator asks. These are some of the questions that you should ask as you move up in life. Which brings us to the next provocation, vulnerability. How do we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to be open to criticism, to allow for the possibility of different personal and public interpretations of yourself and your works? How do we allow ourselves the freedom to fail? Let me repeat it. How do we allow ourselves the freedom to fail? And how do we pick ourselves up without hardening, without crusting all the time. To be vulnerable is to be open to creative risks, to be open to curatorial adventures. It is to try out different new ways of utterance, of construction, of reconstruction, of vision, of revision, of thought, of meaning making. Vulnerability, then, to me, is to acknowledge the provisionality of life and finding a direction through this very realization. Far from being a sign of weakness, it implies the courage to gather knowledge from various sources, to have the gumption to be restless, but also be resilient. It also entails the daring to question oneself and one's cherished notions, one's ways of thinking and designing, all the sedimentations that exist in your head, to arrive at incomplete answers, to push the boundaries of disciplines and the experiences that they enshrine. Enough said. I hope you have, in the course of this short, what I might call a short manifesto, felt the urge to interrogate and cross-interrogate, to examine and cross-examine yourself and everybody else. This proposition of asking a difficult question is easily the most important propositions of the day. Ask questions relentlessly, continuously, and always search fastidiously for better answers. Let me leave you with this lovely poem by this American writer, Sterling North, who also, I don't know whether, I'm sure there are people who are interested in children's fiction, who also wrote the novel Rascal, which was very popular amongst children. The poem is called Lanterns in the Wind. And the subheading is quite predictably Advice to a Young Man. Please pardon him and his sexism because he wrote this in 1937. Go, says the poet, with a lamp and dig a hole through the blanket of darkness. Lanterns in the Wind by Sterling North. Now with a lantern, hollow out the dark, nor fear the poisonous air, the awesome shadow. From your improbable universe move the stark trees, in moves the bolder, turbulent meadow. Here, stallion, mare, or creature of the mind, intrudes rough shoulder, shaggy flank, or side. Grasp now the tangled forelock, mount and ride, incredible shadows, lantern in the wind. Enough, enough. Dismiss the airy beast and stand beside this pallid thatch, the straw, golden in lamplight. Drowsily from his nest, the sparrow tumbles. By what savage law? Soft-footed now the cat, his terrible eyes. Go yet beyond and house yourself from fear. Make rafters from the shadows. Join and splice. Here is the shadowy timber, but beware. Your roof will tremble at the slightest breath. Your roof will tremble at the slightest breath. How faint and far the voice of morning's lark. Sweet argument against the power of death. Go with a lantern, hollow out the dark. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Can I request now Salim to announce the awards for excellence and our chief guest, Mr. Abid Sardesai, to give out the awards to the students.
Yes. These are the faculty level awards, UG and PG program, Bachelor's in Interior Design, Best Capstone Project Award, Shreya Gajjar. And Kritika Gupta. Academic Excellence Award, Kritika Gupta. And Ayushi Bhatt.
Just tell them to stand for a second because photograph will not come.
Distinguished Student Award, Chinmayi Parekh. Masters in Interior Design, Best Capstone Project Award, Mayuri Gohil. Isha Goel. Academic Excellence Award, Apurva Pandey. Finally, a guy comes. Janvi Parekh. Masters in Furniture Design, Best Capstone Project Award, Saujanya Bali. Sikindar Ali. Masters in Building Products and Systems, Best Capstone Project Award, Antariksh Patole. Suman De. Masters in Interior Design, Best Performance in First Year, Alagappam Swaminathan. Masters in Furniture Design, Best Performance in First Year, Rucharani Kuwar. Masters in Building Products and Systems, Best Performance in First Year, Nayonika Gaud. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Congratulations to all the award winners. We'll now begin with the conferment of degrees. May I request Celine to please come and give the degrees to the students. We'll begin with Bachelors of Interior Design, Bachelors of Science Interior Design, and Bachelors of Arts Interior Design. May I request Nandi Parekh, Program Chair, Bachelors of Interior Design, Bachelors of Design, to please announce the name of the degrees. One small request, we have a photographer, we have all the time for you, so please wait for a moment, let that moment be captured and then only go. Don't rush, we have time.
Thank you, Rishabh. Good afternoon, everyone. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome you all today to celebrate the achievements of our graduating students. My heartfelt congratulations to everyone on your achievements. The chairman and members of the board of management of the CEPT University, on the nomination of the Executive Council, have conferred upon the following students the degree of Bachelor of Interior Design: Ashni Thakur, Ayushi Bhatt, Abhinav Iyengar, Aishwarya Nair, Ankur Saraf, Anusha Bishnoi, Arushi Garg, Ayushi Panchal, Bansri Patel, Bhakti Shah, Chinmay Parikh, Devika Sharma, Dhaneshri Ahir, Dhruvi Sheth, Dhruvi Gandhi, Dhruvi Shah, Dhwani Khamar, Hardi Patel, Himisha Vyas, Isha Garg, Ishika Mehta, Janam Prajapati, Jasoda Bhansali, Karnav Mistry, Khevna Shah, Khushi Jain, Kirti, Kritika Gupta, Krishna Patel, Shipra Linjra, Manav Budani, Manav Patel, Moksha Shah, Kaushik Mayatra, Naman Jain, Naveli Jain, Nidhi Radadia, Nikul Dodia,
I just hope that the names are inside the right, the natural real names.
Nimisha Bohra, Nishwala Gajjar, Pooja Shah, Pritha Patel, Rudra Vyas, Rutika Vora, Sakshi Sharma, Shalabh Bhatnagar, Shivani Pandya, Shraddha Udavni, Shreya Gajjar, Shrishti Bed, Shambhavi Shukla, Siddharth Sharma, Soumya Modi, Sukruti Marchetti, Vaishali Odedra, Vanshika Tyagi, Vedika Kedia, Vishnu Asarit, Yashasvi Asati. I would also like to mention the names of the students who are not here today. Anand Panchal, Chetan Gedia, Tarang Sagra, and Vruti Shah. Many congratulations. We now move on to the Bachelor of Science Interior Design degree. The chairman and members of the board of the management of the CEPT University on the nomination of the Executive Council have conferred upon the following students the degree of Bachelor of Science in Interior Design. Aryan Keswani. Esha Gupta. Isha Hapani. Kajal Mewara. Sorry, she is not here. Sorry. Shiani Mittal. Stuti Paliwal. Also, there are two students who are not here today with us, Anushka Shah and Haley Joshi. Many congratulations. And the last is for Bachelor of Arts in Design. The chairman and the members of the board of management of the CEPT University on the nomination of the Executive Council have conferred upon the following students the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Design. Arundhati Jaiswal, she is not here with us. Many congratulations. Thank you. I'll just invite back Rishabh to continue with the degrees.
We'll now proceed with Master of Design, Interior Design. The chairman and members of the board of the management of the CEPT University on the nomination of the Executive Council have conferred upon the following students the degree of Master of Design, Interior Design. Ashna Cheda, Apurva Pandey, Ayushi Jain, Devika Unikrishnan, Dejag, Harsh Barua, Hitasini R, Isha Goel. May I request all the parents to be seated, even the bachelor students to be seated, the ceremony is still on. Ishita Sahai, Janvi Parikh, Mayuri Gohil, Namrata Jain, Prachi Jindal, Sanjana Sridhar, Shiva Sishodia, Shivani Vijay, Shruti Kohli, Siddharth S, Shri Shailesh, Suchitra Pradhan, Uttara Haridas, and Vishakha Soni. And in absentia, HR Shunya and Shagun Gupta. Congratulations everybody, you are now graduates of CEPT University. May I request now Kaulav to share the degree details of MFD and MBPS.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we'll start with Masters of Design, Furniture Design. The chairman and members of the board of management of the CEPT University, on the nomination of the executive council, have conferred upon the following students the degree of Masters of Design, Furniture Design: Aditi Banka, Anmol Parikh, Bhavya Agrawal, Darga Sikandar Ali, Gupta Deepshikha Ankush, Janga Vani Padmavati, Luwani Prince Ghanshyam Bhai, Meet Pranav Thakkar, Mohammad Arif Ahmed, Niveditha R, Palak Bhargava, Patel Rutu, Mitesh Bhai, Prachi Uday Sampat, Priyanka Mundra, Rashmil Rajgopalan Rajitha, Sarvatha Shukla, Saujanya S. Bali, Vaishali Mahesh Poptani, Veerti Shah. In absentia, Kotak Garvi Yogen. Let's move on to building products and systems students. The chairman and the members of the board of management of the CEPT University on the nomination of the executive council have conferred upon the following students the degree of Masters of Design Building Products and Systems: Ajay Shri Nair, Indrajit K, Jain Pratiti, Karthik V, Limye Vaishnavi Prasad, Patole Antriksh Ravi, Prashant Hebbar, Priyanka T, Sachin Shrikant, Shrijit S, Suman De, Suthar Dhavlesh Girish Kumar, Trivedi Preeti Deepak Bhai, Vaishnavi Ganesh Iyer, Vaja Nikunj Devji Bhai. Congratulations to all students.
We thought we will do a group photograph, but it seems the group is already vanished somewhere. But anyways, I think we can have a group photographs for the master's program first. Bachelor students, if you are able to hear us, we are going to do a group photograph. Get them to. Can I request the students from Masters of Interior Design to come ahead for a group photograph? After this, we will have furniture design and then building products and system, and then the bachelor's students.